Hi, my name is Lindsey Jester and I am 25 years old. And today I am committing my life to Jesus. I was raised in the church. I did Sunday school, mission trips, the whole 9 yards. And I was actually baptized when I was 9 years old. But soon after, my dad left my mother and we were sprung into a fast-forward life of survival. And during that time, trying to pick up the pieces and trying to figure out where our life went from there, Jesus sort of just slipped away. But I was lucky enough to have a grandmother that could step in and help raise me while my mother was worried about how ends meet and to make sure that I was taken care of. But as I grew older, my circle grew smaller, and those were the only two that were in my circle. Because I thought that if I could control what was in my circle and that I could control who entered and all the variables of every situation, that I would avoid what I felt when my father left. And then if I built my walls high enough that I could avoid the feeling that I felt then. And it worked for a while. I was comfortable. I was safe for a long time. And then my grandmother got sick in December of 2014 and my circle just exploded and I had no control. She decided to go on hospice in September of last year, and she was on hospice for 22 days. And it was the hardest 22 days of my life. It was the longest, and it was the most uncomfortable. But to be honest, it was the most freeing 22 days of my life. Being stripped of everything that I could control and having so many blankets around me and having all of that taken off, I realized and I learned how to pray again. I learned how to surrender myself again, and I learned how to trust Jesus again. But I wouldn't have been able to do that unless I was put in that place where everything was stripped away from me, that I couldn't keep her here and that I couldn't control that aspect. And I learned how to trust him, and learning to trust him, I hope now that I'm able to trust other people, having to trust him first. I wouldn't change any of that in my past because I am the sum total of all of those things. And I know Jesus was just outside of that comfort zone. But to imagine that I couldn't look over those walls just to see him was the worst part. But I knew that he was with me the whole time because he did bless me with a wonderful guide in this world. My mother, who's always made sure that my compass is pointing a true north. She was my constant. I wouldn't have survived the way that I did if not for her. But it was really her journey with her finding Jesus that really nudged me in the direction to find him myself. And she introduced me to him again, which I am so thankful because now I found him and I'm never going to let him go.